What's up, guys? Welcome back to another tier list by SenVale. Here we are going to do a defender operator tier list. Now we're going to talk about strictly the defenders, how good they are, how good their guns are, and whether or not you should probably pick these operators. So let's get to it. Just doing the defenders today. So I put Jaeger as the placeholder for Grim from my attacker tier list. We're going to start with Jaeger. Jaeger's obviously the S tier operator. Like, there's no question about that. Do you like dying to grenades? Me neither. And the guns are solid. There's nothing about Jaeger that is bad. Jaeger is a staple of every defensive round practically. Best utility on not getting exploded. Speaking of which, Wamai right up there with them. Wamai is great. Anytime you're picking a Wamai and Jaeger combo, barely have to worry about grenades anymore. And both defenders have ARs, so both of them can shoot. Jaeger's gun is a little bit harder. Wamai has impact, so Wamai, you're more like a roaming Jaeger, and Jaeger's more like a anchor kind of guy. Like, both have their merits, both are solid. I did a Jaeger versus Wamai video. You should check it out. All right, Smoke, another S tier operator. We're starting with the S tier ops. Boom. You're saying Wamai is B tier, A tier? Wamai is just as strong as Jaeger, but for different reasons. So let's talk Smoke. Smoke. I mean, he's been a staple in Rainbow Six for God knows how long. I mean, you are the initial architect of the site. You have a shield. You can deny plant. You can deny time. You are the staple of an anchor, like defensive hold. Like, there's nothing bad with Smoke. Smoke is practically always needed. Easy yes. Let's go back to Wamai for a second. Wamai has impact, so he can function a little bit different than Jaeger. He will eventually, at the end of near the end of the round, he will have more this. So like, as pushes rotate around, let's say you're defending anchor, like you're defending basement on Origin, Wamai is able to move around and move his disc around a little bit easier than Jaeger would, who just places them down. Like, you have to literally walk over to it, place it down, and walk away. Wamai can throw them on the fly, but Wamai is a little bit more adjustable than Jaeger is. So Wamai is a different style of operator. Jaeger pairs very well with a Smoke. Wamai pairs okay with a Smoke. Wamai is more for an entire open floor plan, like, kind of, we don't want to get grenaded, and Jaeger's more, I want to defend a very specific choke point or shield. And there's no 1.5 on the AUG, there's no 1.5 on the MP5. So there you go. That's my entire explanation about that. Mute, I mean, it's just like all S tier operators so far. Mute is not his intel, can basically think Smoke, but his cousin. Like, denies all the intels on the drones. Shotgun can make the site, architect however you want, and you can deny plant a little bit with the nitro. So you're solid, Smoke solid. You run both these ops, I mean, you're usually doing pretty well. So boom. Pulse got a massive buff lately with the UMP with a 1.5, so I am going to place Pulse. Honestly, normally I place him at C tier because very seldom you'll be used, but I'm going to place Pulse at the B tier. Not quite an A tier op, but that UMP buff is actually really great with a 1.5. I mean, kind of like Castle. But the defenders, I mean, you know, if attacker knows that the Pulse is on the board, it does kind of force him to have to come underneath, and you using that gun, I'm able to rip a few of them apart. And if they don't come for you, obviously you're Pulse, and you can try to work a nitro. Boom. Castle, another B tier op. Castle just is really strong on the times that he's chosen, just a little bit more situational than the other ops. Won't be chosen too often, but like, on the times that he is chosen, he is like near A and S tier. Just, it doesn't happen super often. So when he is picked though, he is really strong, but like I said, like, it's kind of like, it's just not super common. We'll be able to set up the site. Basically, you can make a labyrinth with this Castle. Castle is very strong most of the time, but it really depends on the team that you have to play around the Castle. Honestly, I kind of feels like a travesty to place Castle that low. I need to at least place him in A tier because he is really strong when played correctly on the right side. Doc, C tier operator. Doc is a C tier operator purely because honestly, the heals are pretty nice, but everything else is kind of bad. That's pretty much it. The heals are nice. Honestly, you put a shooter on Doc, you know, at least going 1-for-1, and the heals are really great, but you're not going to see a lot of gameplay as Doc. I kind of want to place Doc at the D tier, but I am going to place Doc at the C tier because I can see people running Doc and not being completely Trollioses about it. because the reason why Doc's not like, let's say a B or higher, or the reason why Doc is at the bottom of C tier is because Thunderbird exists. Thunderbird A tier. Thunderbird's heals are great. You have an MP5, sorry, you have a nitro, your heals, and you have really good weaponry. So you can shoot like crazy and you can heal everybody. Could convince me that is a B tier operator, but a lot of times when I have a Thunderbird on my team as a defender, we're usually not complaining. Doc is pretty great. All right, Tekken, you convinced me. I kind of agree. Like the fact that Thunderbird exists, it just makes Doc so much worse. I'll just get Doc's going down to D tier. Speaking of Doc, we're putting Rook down there as well. The self-revive as Rook is not out. With the self-revive as Rook, you could try to maybe convince me that he's a C tier with the self-revive, but it's not out yet. It is very mediocre. The difference between these two ops is that this op has impacts and you get your armor at the start. Pairs well with other ops, but is not going to see that much game time or play time at all. Just has no utility at all. All right, Tachanka. Sorry, Tachanka. Just very, very, very situational operator that is picked occasionally, and most of the time it's picked, it's going to be in a pro league setting when it's not a troll pick. You have a very specific route with that grenade launcher to deny plants. Like I could see Tachanka being useful on, like, say, bank site on the basement, having an arc so you can always arc that default plant spot so they can't plant. I mean, but other than that, like, there's just not many points where you bring it to Tachanka, because literally smoke exists in Rainbow Six, and smoke is by far hands, knees, shoulders above the Tachanka pick. So, all right, next pick, Capkin. I'm gonna place Capkin at the B tier. Because if you hit site direct, you don't really have to worry about the Capkin too much. But Capkin is really strong, decent guns, nitro, and those traps do make it hard to fully roam clear because you never know which door frame they're going to be on. It's really hard to just kind of run around the map and ignore those. So Capkin is going to be at the B tier. I don't think Capkin can be at the A tier necessarily. Maybe, but I would have placed Capkin at the B tier currently. B tier, yeah. Capkin under S. Capkin is not an S tier operator. No way. Not even close to S tier. Maybe A tier, maybe low A tier, but IB tier. Definitely not an S tier operator. No way in hell. This is just defenders right now, guys. All right, next up, Bandits. Let's see, we'll play C tier because I can see Bandit being chosen sometimes. I can't see these guys really being chosen for a real way in any time. C tier, Bandit. When you Bandit trick, obviously, great. When the wall gets open, not great. You can't do anything anymore. And it is really easy to counter the Bandit. Like, there's so many ways of countering Bandit on that wall that occasionally you might be able to get away with the Bandit trick. It might work, like, for the one time, but it's not going to work multiple times in a row. It's going to work for the one time that you brought it. So very, very, very situational pick. Not going to be chosen very often. Next up, Defender Frost. Frost got a massive buff with that 1-5 coming back to Frost. Low-key, Frost is an A tier. Oh yeah, why is Frost an A tier, bro? That just has Frost mats. Well, Frost mats are great because it kind of works like Capkins in terms of you have to watch where you leap in a way. And Frost is going to have a shield, and you're going to have a secondary shotgun to set up the site. So you can set up the site. So basically, you kind of can function like a smoke, or at least help the smoke set up. Most of the time, you are going to choose either smoke, but on a more open floor plan, you're going to probably pick more of a Frost. Is that Frost? You put a gunner on Frost, they are ripping the entire team apart. If you guys have not used this gun yet, holy crap, you are in for a treat. This is a incredible gun. You put anyone on this gun, it instantly makes them a better player. That gun is crazy good with a 1-5. Like, it is stupid good. And you basically set up the entire site like an anchor, so, like, great. Valkyrie, A tier. Very easy to counter if you know what to look for, but it forces you to have to look around and find those cameras. And Valkyrie playing aggressive around those cameras makes it really annoying. That's why Valkyrie's banned so much, because teams that aren't going to put in the full effort is going to be kind of a pain in the butt to deal with, but isn't really broken in any capacity. Those cameras are easy to deal with when you are playing fairly smart, but very strong up, decent gun, nitro. I mean, those cameras you can place quite literally anywhere. Very strong. Definitely I don't think is S tier because it's not really in the category of these ops, but very, very strong up. Like, let's get to the next op. Mira, S tier, very strong. Like, it is so hard to counter the Mira in any capacity. When you're fighting the Mira head on, you are peeking someone that you can't see, and Mira can see you and pre-fire you off the face of the planet. There's a reason why Mira is banned so often, because it's extremely hard to counter the Mira unless you are literally clearing an entire map or an entire floor. It is a pain in the butt. Mira is strong. That's all I gotta say about that. Caveira, C tier, right up there with Bandit. I could see Caveira being picked as a non-troll operator occasionally in higher elo, because let's say a lot of teams rely heavily on a Jackal realm clear. If you know that is happening, you pick up Caveira, you might be able to make a game-winning round just off of that. Plus, just the speed of rotations, you might be able to get away with a little bit, but a lot of the times it's going to be a little bit of a troll pick, so definitely not going to be higher than C tier. Definitely going to be near the bottom of C tier, but definitely not in the realm of the D tier ops. So, Echo, B or A. I'm gonna say Echo is going to be more of a B tier operator. I don't see Echo beat shows that much. Echo is really good for helping drone your roamers around the map and then coming back and trying to deny plant. Granted, you're not really going to be using Echo's utility to really deny plant too often, because it is really easy to snipe those cameras after like one go, but being able to drone roamers around and concuss attackers as a roamer swings them is really strong. So he is the active droner of the defenders in higher elo, so really strong up, and you get a shield to anchor up, so really strong. All right, next up we have the Legion. Legion is going to be a B tier operator, kind of like Capkin. Decent roamer, decent gun, impacts. I mean, you can roam pretty good. You can place your mines wherever you want, and you're going to have a little sound audio cue on the attackers, knowing that they're in a certain area, and you can throw them on the fly. So great roamer. Nothing crazy other than that, but yeah. There are better options over the Legion. That's what we're getting at currently. Ella, C tier. Honestly, Ella's gadget is honestly kind of crazy good, but the guns is just always mediocre. The SMG was buffed slightly, but it wasn't buffed like crazy. So the guns of Ella are a little lackluster, but the gadget is really strong. So C tier I think is safe, because you know, if I'm getting a little annoyed that my teammates are getting slammed on site, maybe I'll go Ella to like help just slow down a push or a rush. I was Thunderbird an A, not an S, because if your entire enemy team dies to headshots or they don't have time to rotate back to get heals, Thunderbird isn't doing too much. Like, these operators all slow down a push or completely prevent a push. But all these operators cannot do that. These ops are necessity. These ops are situational a little bit. These ops are necessity. Thunderbird's not bad. That's why she's A tier, but she's definitely not up with Jaeger, Wamai, Smoke, Mute, or Mira. Not even close. Sorry. Vigil. C tier. Kind of like Caveira in a way. You're picking Vigil because, you know, probably a little bit less situational than the Caveira, to be honest, but could convince me that B tier. Yeah, we'll place Vigil at the B tier because it kind of functions just like the better roamer. It just really slows down how much they're actively, like, they don't know where you're exactly at, and you can always just deal with them. So probably the best roamer, specific roamer in Rainbow Six, so you never really pin him down fully. Azami S. Well, I mean, Azami's obviously an S. Like, Azami's an S. Do I need to explain this? Azami has the most broken ability in the game. Good weapons, good gadget. Like, everything about Azami is just broken. Azami is the best defender in Rainbow Six Siege currently. That's why she's banned occasionally, because she's annoying as hell to deal with. Speed up, bro. Why are you going so slow? Because I like to talk about why. I'm not just going to but not boop, 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 boop. I want to explain for newer people to Siege, because this is going to be a YouTube video. Alibi S tier, one of the best defender entry roamer operators of the game currently. You put a fragger on Alibi and they're going to slam. In fact, Alibi Storm was buffed this season. I don't know why, but it was. You have a bailiff and a shield to set up site, so you're helping set up site, and then you can run around like a maniac and just go nuts. I mean, this Alibi is just a crazy good shooter. That good is nuts. It can practically out DPS any attacker. So like Alibi is great, especially one headshot death game. Like that's kind of honestly kind of broken. Sometimes we'll target ban either one of these two ops. There's a reason why they're up there. Next defender, Maestro. Placed in the C tier under the Echo because I feel like Echo's cameras are a little bit more useful. Maestro is a little bit better for the side setup, so there is a place for Maestro, but it's definitely not going to be as strong as the Echo, and most of the time you're not going to want two camera boys. So Maestro, good LMG, can set up the site, and the cameras are really strong, but the cameras can't move around. So Maestro sits very safely at the C tier. I don't think D tier is safe. Rook is way better than you think. Definitely not. Rook is exactly where I think he's at, and that is at the very bottom tier. All right, next up, Clash. Clash, C tier. Situationally, might be really strong, but on the day-to-day pick, not overly strong. I mean, you definitely need to have a team that's playing around you, knowing that you're Clash, knowing that what you're doing, and knowing how you're trying to hold this. So when you pick Clash, you have to be smart about what you're doing. I mean, your guns are very mediocre, so you're really relying on the fact that they can't push up to you. Clash. All right, next up, Cade. Cade was an instant S tier. Now, to me, honestly, is still an S tier. Sorry, like even with Cade nerf, like it's still an S tier. Lost his 1-5 of the AUG, but the ability is just too strong. The ability is just great. It is the best wall denial, hatch denial thing in the game. Like it just can't be beat. That's why Cade is banned so often on certain maps like Clubhouse. It's just the best denial. Guns are okay. Guns are usable, and you have a nitro. Like the only downside to Cade is that he's a 3 armor. Everything else is solid. Mozzie S, no way. No way is Mozzie S tier. Mozzie at best is a B tier operator. Decent roamer, decent intel denial. You get a camera. I mean, you kind of function like a Valkyrie, but S tier? Hell no. A tier? Nah, these operators are definitely a little bit more usable. I think that he sits very safely with this caliber of operator. Mozzie's guns are solid. None of them are broken or super overpowered in any capacity. That can't help set up the site at all as a nitro. And when you get a camera pairing it with a nitro, you kind of function like Valkyrie. Valkyrie just gets cameras off the rips. That's why I'm like, you know, Valkyrie is just better than Mozzie in my eyes. But being able to stop a little bit of the drone game and definitely functions really well. So like if you pair, let's say, a Mozzie and a Vigil with a mute, you could really have a really strong roam game. But I feel like Mozzie by himself isn't like a crazy good roamer, because you know you have a nitro, but not much else going on. Warden is also a B tier operator. Warden is extremely strong in the moments where he is viable, though. He is kind of like Castle in a way. Warden is very lackluster in most of the time, but you put a gunner on Warden, you are going to feel the hurt. It's like, you know, I put Ash at B. Just because I put Ash at B, just because an operator is at B tier doesn't mean they can't carry the game. But their overall kit is more situational the lower down we go. Like, not saying that Rook can't be a carry in a game, but it's just more times than not, it's not going to be great. Warden, most of the time, your utility is kind of lackluster. Most of the time, it's not going to be great, your utility. But amazing 1-5 gun, and you have nitro. I mean, that's pretty much all Warden really has. I mean, if they have smokes and they try to contest it with the Glass, then that Glass is going to be in for a world of hurt. But you're peeking back, knowing full damn well where he's at. So. Goyo, A tier. Goyo was buffed recently. Great gun. The only downside to Goyo is that, I mean, he doesn't have the shields anymore. His gadgets are leave and forget, so you can deal with his utility fairly early, but he also gets a nitro. Goyo has a lot going on for him. That Vector with the 1.5, if you can learn how to completely control that gun perfectly, oh my god, it is probably the strongest gun in the game. But that thing recoils like a Bronco. It is so hard to use. But if you learn how to use it properly and completely, like, it'll be an incredibly good gun. And his gadget, you get 4 of them, so you can kind of place them and really stall out the attackers. So like if you play them smart, you can really stall them out. But normally the Goyos are going to get burnt fairly quickly. Oryx, I disagree. Oryx is not A tier. Oryx is an S tier operator. Why is Oryx S tier? All he does is run through walls. Well, like Alibi, he is Alibi. Just think Alibi. Like, Oryx is practically the same operator. Amazing gun with a 1.5. Able to make rotates for the team, so you can help set up the site at the start, and then you can run around and just go nuts. Like, if you're trying to be a kind of roamer fragger, you pick one of these 2 operators, you're doing probably okay. And Oryx does have the potential to do a little bit more than Alibi. Alibi's weaponry is a little bit stronger, but Oryx has the potential to, like, you know, run through walls or climb up a hatch. Has a little bit of extra stuff going on. So I definitely think Oryx is at least bare minimum an A tier, but I definitely think that he is the S. We already did the attacker operators, guys. If you want the attacker operators, it is going to be on the YouTube channel. Make sure to hit up the YouTube channel. SenVale on YouTube. Going to be out tonight. We're doing the attack first, but right now we're doing defense. What other defensive ops do we have on the board? Mozzie. Okay, Mozzie's a smart one. Mozzie, A tier. Mozzie completely negates a rat play, completely negates a rush play. Mozzie's ability is just very strong, that she is just, anytime you pick her, honestly, if you ever feel like your teammates can't hold down sight, you pick Mozzie, run around. Mozzie's solid. There's something about Mozzie that's overall busted and broken. Guns are kind of mediocre. Like the MP5 with a 1X is kind of, it's okay, but it's not great. You have impacts, but those banshees that Mozzie has are just really good for just stopping your team from getting swarmed within seconds of the round starting. So Deliberate is great. That's why she's A tier. Aruni, A, B tiers. Aruni is an A tier. Actually, nowadays, I'm gonna be honest, I think Aruni floats a little bit closer to the B tier, at least in my eyes. Like, I just see all these operators being a little bit more viable than the Aruni, because you already have Omai and Jaeger that are on steroids. So we'll place Aruni in the B tier. Not a bad operator by any means, but just a little bit more situational occasionally. I mean, you have a defensive DMR, which is great. Crazy good gun. You can melee to make rotates, but other operators are probably going to, probably have other ways of doing that. So you are able to make some crazy plays with that potentially. But I just don't see it being overly like more of a must pick like any of these ops. So Aruni is probably sitting near the top of B tier, but these aren't in any necessary order. But Aruni is definitely strong. But Thorn is a D tier. Do I need to explain that? Hi. Thorn's a D tier for sure. Thorn is easily a D tier operator. Easily, without a doubt, a D tier operator. Why is Thorn a D tier operator, SenVale? I love Thorn's gun. Well, there's a lot of other operators that have amazing guns and also bring a lot more than Thorn has. Thorn's ability is very mediocre. Doesn't do much for the team. Has a shield, but yeah, so do other operators. But the guns and ability just combo is just very lackluster. Thorn, not saying that Thorn, you can't pick Thorn and not brag the entire team. Hey, Chris, what's up, baby? Up from TikTok. Thorn is great. Thorn is a strong operator, but like none of these operators are necessarily weak. They just don't bring much that any other operator just doesn't do exceptionally better. Thorn is better. Ella, I think Ella's ability is way stronger than Thorn's by far. Not even close. Thorn's don't even slow me down. Ella's makes me have to reconsider exactly what I'm doing. Ella D tier. I think just the ability of Ella makes Ella a C tier operator, so I could see it being used a little bit more often. But that ass, like, let's just say Ella is at the bottom of C tier. Like, I could put Ella in D tier, and honestly, that wouldn't be too far of a stretch. Exactly, like, it takes a while. The thorns might not even slow me down. I might just walk all the way through it. Ella's instantly, you get like shell-shocked. Ella S2 because 0.1 Is we're getting a huge buff, don't know when, and it's not out yet. And honestly, even with that buff, with the self-revive buff, let's talk about that. Self-revive buff honestly doesn't make Rook that much stronger. With the self-revive buff, we may talk about Rook potentially being a C tier operator. Because Rook, I mean, that buff doesn't, the self-revive is only going to work in very certain scenarios where you get downed and you have about 5 to 7 seconds to pick yourself up without the defender killing you. And that might happen occasionally, but not super often that it's going to be as broken as you might think. Let's talk Finka for a second. Finka can self-revive anyone instantly, anywhere on the map. Instantly, without a delay. How is that not broken? It's been out for a while. I don't think Rook's self-revive thing is going to be as broken as a lot of people think. Because a lot of times when a defender goes down, everyone's yelling, this guy's down, this guy's down. And attackers are coming to clean it up. So I don't think it's going to be as strong as a lot of people are going to believe. So with the Rook self-revive, maybe a C tier. You can even argue maybe a B tier, but no higher than that. But right now, currently, D tier. We don't even know if the self-revive is actually going to come out. There's been a lot of contention on Twitter. So honestly, it's up in the air whether that's even going to come to Siege. So I guess we'll see. Is that all the defenders in the game? Yes. If you guys have any opinions, anyone you think should move up or down, let me know real quick on, otherwise this is Amari defending tier list. What do you guys think? And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, appreciate you guys stopping by. Make sure to subscribe, drop a comment, leave a like for more. And down below in the comments, if you guys have a disagreement on what op you should go up or down, let me know down in the comments below. And we'll talk. Make sure to tell me why. Don't just say SenVale bad, dumb tier list. This, you're dumb. Like, no, tell me, like, I think Doc should be a S tier list because I think that I like getting healed. Like, just tell me a reason, even if you don't believe it completely. Warden D is crazy. The Warden is just mediocre. Thorn's mediocre. I mean, I can list so many operators that function better than Thorn. Let's talk. Goyo. Lucy. Like, because when you think Thorn, you're thinking trying to slow them down or some type of trap. Capkin. Legion. Like, Aruni even. Frost. Like, there's so many operators that just have traps, and it's already more than 5. There's not much reason to bring Thorn unless you're gonna pair it. Like, that's not saying that any operator on this is bad, but it's just gonna be extremely situational, that it only require a very specific way that it can work effectively. So no operator is bad. That's what I like about Siege right now in year 7, is that no operator on this board is necessarily completely bad. All these operators are good in their own way. It's just that some operators are better in their current meta than others. So Aruni's A tier. God, I wish. It's just Aruni's just not enough, bro, nowadays. I want Aruni to be an S tier, but I just don't see Aruni being better than... Aruni's just not on par with these ops. She's just not anymore. Just not. Bandit B tier? I mean... Bandit's utility is just dog. It's just... Cade is just overall way better, and Cade is always played. The only reason why Bandit goes up to B is when Cade's banned. Like, Cade is always picked, always on the board. The only way that Bandit is better is when Cade is banned, and that's kind of like, if you have a Cade and a Bandit on the board, why the hell are you bringing Bandit? That's just weird to me. That's just strange. All right, guys, until next time, like I said, make sure to drop a comment, leave a like, and maybe subscribe on YouTube for more. So until next time, guys.